Let's bring in Mohamed El-Erian now. He's the Chief Economic Advisor at Allianz. I appreciate you reaching out and your willingness to come on and discuss this. What is your takeaway from what Chair Powell said? Because it has clearly had a negative impact on these markets.
It has, because he said very clearly there are no good news cuts anywhere on the horizon. That is, cuts warranted by low inflation. There are no bad news cuts on his radar screen because he's worried about persistent inflation. And then he brushed aside completely what I call the awful rate cuts, those that are prompted by market malfunction. So across the board, he said, look, there are no rate cuts coming for now. The stock market heard him. The bond market seems to ignore him, but I don't think it is ignore him. I think the bond market is realizing that this economy is going to slow quite a bit. So while I agree with Steve that it's unlikely you get a June cut, what you're seeing in the bond market is real concern about the growth outlook, and that's why you're down 7 to 9 basis points in maturities up to 5 years.
Do you think the Fed's going to be? I know what he said, and I hear you, and I think your explanation sounds right. That's all fine and good until something actually happens. Are they going to be forced to do something, do you think?
So there's a game of chicken going on right now between the administration and the Fed. The Fed does not want to cut. It thinks that the policy problem is elsewhere. The administration would like the Fed to cut. I think the only horizon, the only scenario you get a Fed rate cut anytime soon is if we get close to what we had last week, which is bond market malfunction. You know, Scott, more than anybody else you know, there's a big difference between unusual volatility and malfunction. Unusual volatility you can get done at a price. You may not like the price, you may not like the bid-offer spread, but you'll get done. Malfunction is you can't, and therefore what do? You go to do something else, and you spread the disruption through the market. So only if we get back to where we were last week, market malfunction, will we see the Fed act anytime soon.
Right, but did we do anything to solve the method, so to speak, to the bond market madness? We really didn't. We settled things for the moment, but I would suggest that I'm not necessarily sure that the mechanism that led to that has been cleared up in any way.
So it hasn't on the tariff side. It hasn't in terms of foreigners selling, but it has on the Fed side. Susan Collins came up on Friday, and she said very clearly, if there's malfunction, we will intervene. So, you know, the market heard something that it wanted to hear, which is more durable than the 90-day postponement, and that's more durable than what else it heard about foreigners are selling bonds.